Hi, and welcome to our new show, Kind Humans. I'm your host, Liv Walker, and today we will be talking to Morehead State softball player India Moeller about the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And later on, we're going to talk to Michelle Thornberry, a MSU student, about schools and their dress codes. We'll be right back after this break.
No matter where they go.
No matter how high they soar.
They never forget where they learned to fly.
Once an eagle, always an eagle.
Once an eagle, always an eagle.
Once an eagle, always an eagle.
Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm here with sophomore infielder, number 17 for the Morehead State Eagles, India Moeller. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Of course, I'm super excited to be here.
So let's just jump right into it. Did you watch any of the Olympics this year?
I did. My little sister Caroline loved the speed walking segment, and that is her favorite part.
I didn't even know about that one. I never watched that.
Yeah, they are really quick, like really fast.
I would say to be in the Olympics and speed walk, dang.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that. Did you watch any of the softball?
I did. Obviously, because I play softball, but I also love watching the gymnastics, of course, and swimming for sure. Swimming is super interesting, and I wish I could swim like that.
They're talking about maybe taking softball out of the Olympics again. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, it's just kind of like, something we all, of course, love to see. Softball in the Olympics. It's one of those things that they just keep taking.
They say it's because it's only popular in North America and not the rest of the world. So that's why they were talking about it, which I never thought about that.
Yeah, I guess I had never thought about that until you just said that, but it definitely makes sense. It is a sport that, baseball is probably way more well-known around the world than softball is, but I think one day it will be a permanent thing.
Yeah. So obviously Simone Biles, the U.S. gymnast, dropped out last minute of the Olympics because of mental health reasons. As a student and an athlete, do you find that inspiring, or do you connect with her on that? Yeah,
for sure. I definitely think mental health in sports is overlooked completely. I think recently they've definitely done a better job of talking about mental health issues for sure, but I definitely think as athletes we tend to push through what we're going through emotionally and physically for sure. And, personally, I know that I know girls that struggle with mental health, and I struggle with it every now and then myself. It's really hard, especially at this level. There's so much pressure on you, and I can't imagine the amount of pressure that was on her in the Olympics. So I can totally understand, with how much she was going through having to drop out.
Yeah, and when you notice the softball team compared to the baseball team, obviously in Olympics, the baseball team is more favored. But do you notice any of that here at Morehead?
I definitely think, regardless of what school you're at, a lot of the times girls and men's sports kind of there's a big difference. And I definitely think softball, like you said, in the Olympics, there's not as many people that are into it as baseball, or at least know about it. So especially at Morehead, I think the athletic department does a pretty good job of making things even, but a lot of the times with athletes, with athletics in college, it's based on a winning program. And I think that's where baseball's money came from. And I definitely think our team, right now our record might not show it, but I definitely think that over time we're a great team. And I definitely think this next year is really exciting, and I see a lot of potential.
Do you feel obviously with COVID it put the Olympics back a year, so do you feel with COVID it has helped your team or not really?
I think our team is really good at adjusting to situations that we've been given, and I definitely think these girls are super resilient. And although COVID is a thorn in our back right now, but I think we're really adjusting really well, and we're adapting to what's been given us.
So I'm going to talk about the uniforms real quick. This past year in the Olympics, the Norwegian women's beach handball team got fined because they wore spandex shorts instead of a bikini bottom. do you feel like have you ever experienced that with softball, where you had to wear something that you weren't sure about?
Not quite with softball, because since we're an outdoor sport, we have to wear pants regardless, just with sliding and everything. But I do know when I used to play volleyball, and I had to pick between volleyball and softball, and I picked softball because the volleyball bottoms really bothered me, and that was one of those barriers I couldn't get over because I wasn't comfortable. So I can only imagine having to wear bikini bottoms. Like, I was only wearing spandex, and I definitely think it's ridiculous, honestly, that's a requirement for girls to wear those if they don't want to. Like, if you want to, go for it. Like, I personally don't care what you wear. If you're good at your sport, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it is ridiculous, but I know that after this, it's just going to get better from here. Like, we really can't get worse than that, honestly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here today.
Of course.
It was a joy talking to you, and we'll be right back after this break. Hi, and welcome back. I'm here with MSU student Michelle Thornberry, who went to a private Catholic high school, and we're going to talk about school dress codes. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. So I went to a public high school, and we did have a dress code, but we didn't have to wear uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
So going to a school with uniforms, do you feel like it's very different than just a public school where you don't have to?
Yes, so when I went to college after like all of my life wearing uniforms, it was a completely different experience. And even on days where we had dress down days, what they would call it, it was a completely different experience, because even on those dress down days we had dress codes. So we had to abide by rules of our skirts having to be a certain length if we were to wear skirts or dresses, same with shorts, and so on and so forth.
What was your uniform?
So my uniform in high school included a skirt. We had a knitted sweater with our school logo on it, and then a shirt that was like a polo shirt with our school logo on it. And then we had to wear dress shoes, which included Sperry's, would be an example of what a dress shoe would be like. And then we could wear high length socks that were navy, or tights that were navy, and that was like the dress code uniform.
Did you like uniforms, or would you have rather had a dress code?
I didn't terribly mind it because everybody had to wear the same thing, and so it didn't feel like we had to compete to wear something nice every day, and everybody didn't really care in high school. I also went to an all-girls high school, but it would have also been nice to be able to like express ourselves a little bit more.
To add on to that, in most places where you have to wear a uniform, obviously the dress code there is way more strict.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that took away your creativity and your self-expression?
I think it definitely did, because especially in grade school, because my grade school uniform versus high school was terrible. Like, and again, we couldn't wear nail polish in grade school. In high school, it was a lot more lenient, and dyeing my hair, I couldn't dye my hair certain colors. But self-expression was definitely limited, and like we could only really do that with like what kind of purses we had, and so that was kind of just what we could do to self-accessorize and
So I know personally, I get my creativity out through my makeup and painting. So if you couldn't wear makeup or do nail polish or dye your hair, what did you do to express your creativity?
That's a really good question. I mostly did that through, okay, we had lanyards in high school, and I put buttons on my lanyards, like from Hot Topic, and I know that sounds really silly, but we were like allowed to do that, and so I would do that, and that was a big symbol for me.
I know in my high school they were more harsh on women than men with the dress code. Do you feel that way at your, well, you went to an all-girls school, didn't you?
I did in high school, but in grade school I had boy and girl. So in grade school I think it was definitely more strict on the females because again it had to do with like lengths of skirts and no spaghetti straps and stuff like that. And for the guys it was just, oh, it doesn't really matter. They don't really care. But in high school it was a little bit more lenient, thankfully.
Thank you so much for coming on here today, Michelle, and thank you guys for watching. We will be back next week with a new episode, so stay tuned for that.